There it is. Okay.
Okay. I mean, if it's not, oh well.
There.
All right, we're back.
Sorry.
Okay,
I don't know if you want to say the date, February 10th.
today's February 10th, and I'm at the North Wales Library with Connie's metaphysical group.
The Lansdale Philly Psychic Development Group, February 10th, 2024.
Thank you. And as we're now recording, I was talking about the fact that there are many modalities that you can use if you have, in quote, psychic ability. I have never used the word psychic in my past, though I guess it was appropriate. I didn't try to use it. It was always like mystical or things like that. But in order to do tarot cards, I mean, I can get into that later with somebody.
Excuse me.
The best way is to feel the card, feel the person and feel what you're getting. If you see a card and it has a person on it, get your feelings about what is going on. What's going on with that person or queen or whatever you see in the card? Or if you see coins, what is the feeling you're getting in relation to the person you're working with? Now, this is also related in general to how you get anything. How do you get anything in the psychic world? It's all from, you think it's coming from somewhere else. I mean, you think it's coming from you sometimes, but it's coming from somewhere else. You know, it's the old thing of, you think of a person, then they call you. So, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. You think of a person, then they call you. And it's the same thing, because once you learn, and anyone can learn it, because when they taught remote viewing to the Stargate group, you know, with the CIA and all that stuff, they taught people who had no psychic ability, in quote, how to get information. So it's the process of hearing the other side. And if you want to hear loved ones talk to you from the other side, it's being quiet and listening to what you hear. And it's a practice. It's a practice of beginning to hear the other side. And there are things that can get in the way of hearing the other side. The things that get in the way of hearing the other side are loud noise. Loud noise gets in your way. Distractions in the background. I mean, but you can improve your concentration, which gives me, I want to tell you about memory, how to increase the memory. But it's learning how to hear what's coming in and not censoring it. And when I give you your messages, all I'm doing is being a conduit for what's coming in. And I don't necessarily know anything about anybody here, you know, other than I met Connie for, you know, a short time. But I don't know too much about anybody, obviously, but I can get information. And it's using, allowing things to come in. So I do a lot of automatic writing, where when it first came to me, as a child, I just closed my eyes and I just started writing, and people were writing through me, and, you know, famous people were writing through me, or people I didn't even know, like the sleeping psychic.
Edgar Casey.
Edgar Casey. Yeah, I was a child. I didn't know of anything about Edgar Casey, but I would, you know, be closing my eyes, doing automatic writing, and Edgar Casey came in, various things came in, and my parents actually recorded me on some old equipment. I'd have to see if I can get that updated. But I had no interest, didn't know anything about any of it. All kinds of information came to me at early ages. The other thing that came to me at early ages was, which I use throughout my life, is healing, which is like Reiki, except no one taught me it. And it has other things in it. When I do the meditation, I intend to come up to each person here and do non-touching, like Reiki, healing. So, you know, we'll get to that. I'll make sure my timing is allowing for everything we're trying to do. So in order to hear your loved ones, you can practice doing it. It's a practice. It's thinking of who you want to, and I do this in a meditation where I say to see yourself sitting with whoever you want to talk to, your past, present, future. But if you want to talk to someone from the past who passed over, think of a question you want to ask them and then listen for the answer. And the answer, if it doesn't sound like anything you'd expect, you might have something. Because the messages I get for people that sound to me like, oh, why do I have that message? Like, really? But I try not to censor anything I get. If once you start censoring, you lose something. If the messages that come to you randomly, like if your mind was shut off and something came in, that would be real. The most random things that come in are the most real. And I found it over the years. The other thing that is most important is what comes all the time. What message comes to you over and over and over? Because sometimes they don't have the time to get a lot out. All they can get out are a few words. And if that same message is, and I've done it with people because I've done this for so long. If the same message comes to the same person, like if I'm giving a message to the same person for years and years and years, there's something going on there. And, one of my famous stories is I had a woman who was like a home health aide. She had no money. She was from another country in Europe, and she was gay. And that becomes important because I'll tell you the story. And she was having a rough time and getting through life. And she would come to my group all the time. I gave her the messages, and it was the same message every time. And I said to her, I just keep seeing the white fence, like the big white mansion. I see horses. I see the name Marion. Well, this woman was taking care of a couple, and the wife died. And then the man decided to marry her. So she marries the man, and she's a very good, loving person, whatever, and she's a good companion. Well, anyway, he dies and he left everything to her. Apparently he was well, taken care of. So her life completely changed. She now moves to Texas, gets the big white house and the white fence, and the horses are at her daughter's house named Maria, not Marion. Close, but not exactly. And all that came to fruition out of nowhere. And I'm like seeing this message every week. She came to my meditation group, and I'm thinking, I hate to say it, because can it really be? And yeah. And all kinds of things. I had somebody else, a difficult love life would be the nice way to put it. And this woman felt like she would never get married, and she had some medical issues, and I can't say too much more, I don't want to identify, but the same message came to me every week. And the unlikely possibility of her getting somebody and even having children all came to fruition. It was coming every week. And it was like, that's real. So my father died in 81. And my mother said to me, I think your father's in the car, and I think he's going to come into the house. And it was out of nowhere. It wasn't like she was focused on it, but she said, what should I do? So I said, don't do anything. Just keep all the noise off and be as quiet as you can, and then ask some questions. So she asked a question about someone she was dating. She asked a question about me and my two sisters, and she got some information she didn't expect, and it all turned out to be true. So she was not like familiar with this process, but she got answers, and we all heard the answers, and it was like they all came to fruition, or maybe we knew something was true and she didn't know it. But this is sort of how it works. And in remote viewing, what they do is they teach people who supposedly aren't psychic, they were competing with a program in Russia. So with Russian psychics, so they started the Stargate program, which they say has stopped. And the premise is that anybody can have information. And what they're doing is they want to see targets. They want to see like people who are imprisoned, war issues, where important things are that you can't get any other information on. So some of their best people supposedly never had any interest in this, would never say they had any psychic ability. But what they did was they taught them to access their mind. So there's a whole format where you learn to just not censor what comes in. And there's a way to register how you see a location with different lines. And different lines mean the water, different lines mean the mountains, different lines mean the sky. Then there's how are you feeling when you get this information? And then there's, do you see any people? And by doing this, and they've done it over time, they were able to access certain things. And it's not always 100%, but you can also be trained. The idea is you can be trained to see the past, the present, and the future with remote viewing. You can get there with meditation, and you can also get there by the training that is given to just not censor whatever comes in. The biggest problem is censoring what comes in. Because if you trust, wait, you have a feeling out of nowhere. That feeling might be right. And how many of you have gotten feelings, random feelings or thoughts, random thoughts that turned out to be significant? I know Connie has. Okay. So, these random thoughts, it's sort of like, if we all look at each other, we all probably know things that we don't think we know. And, if I really wanted to, because, I'm going to give you your messages, but if I wanted to, in any random group of people, I could basically know what's going on. Now, like if I'm driving through a neighborhood, and I worked in Germantown for 17 years, and I would drive through and there would be like one street in particular where I knew it was a major area, criminal stuff, drug traffic. And apparently it wasn't really known, but I would know just driving. And if anybody approaches me, and many of you probably could do this too, I know right off if they're dangerous or not. So random approaches, I'll know what's up. And these are all great uses of knowing things. And you probably all know more than you would give yourself credit for. With you can look at any person and say, what do you think's going on here? The other thing I wanted to mention is past life. And for me, I do a whole meditation where I can help you see your past life. And it takes some time, but one of the things I do is in the meditation, you go to water and you see a face. And maybe you see 3 faces, but you're seeing a face of your past. And when you see the face, you're getting some insight into what you're here for now. And as they say, our past life isn't supposed to be revealed because we're not supposed to focus on our goal. Our goals in the past are done. So we're not really supposed to get into that whole thing. But sometimes your past life's important because it has some bearing on the present, or the future. And sometimes, you can't get over something that happened to you in your past life. Like maybe a kid, maybe in your past life you drowned, or, you were claustrophobic. You're claustrophobic now because something happened in your past life. Though I can say for sure as a psychologist, getting over phobias is almost impossible. It's, I know all the tricks, but it's tough. And And I'm doing groups with kids right now for post-traumatic stress syndrome, because a lot of kids have witnessed a lot of bad things. And, so I know how to work with it, but there's a lot of phobias and they're probably rooted in the past. Such as claustrophobia, really tough to get over. Agoraphobia, fear of leaving your house, we can usually get people over that. But some of these other phobias are really rough. But the roots in the past, and if I look at anybody for any amount of time, I could probably tell you something about your past life. And, we've had many. So that's some of the information that I do give people. And the other thing is, do you ever feel deja vu with another country, another location, another language? If you feel like you can see whatever the country is, like how many of you have these feelings about other locations, countries, even this country? Okay. So I'm somebody who, my hobby is studying languages, and I've studied a lot of languages. And when I look at the language, there are languages just resonate with me, where it's like, oh yeah, I get that. And I will study the words I remember first, as I say, remember. But the words that come to me easily, I study first. So if you feel like you could go to some country, and a lot of people have said they go to some other country, they walk around and they know where things are. So this is part of, past life. If you just remember something randomly, or you have a real feeling that you really like something about another country, and you're just fascinated with that other country, and it's really part of you. So that would be an indication. So anyway, I'd love to hear more about any of this with any of you who go through that. And so that's deja vu, is like past life. And these are all signs. The other thing I wanted to mention is my own philosophy, which I pretty always follow, is give as much as you can, anytime, regardless of any expectation of what can come back. And I always feel to me, it's boring not to give as much as possible. So when I go about my life and I see patients every day, I have to laugh. And nothing is only about money. Everything is about people. And I had to hear the message at an early age, because your family can be the ones that will stop you. And if they talk to you, if you read the stories of some of the saints, like Amici, Rita Nandamai, if you know who she is, the hugging saint, she would give away food, and the family was poor, but she would, the compassion for people who were poor. And your family is going to stop you from, sometimes it could be your kids, it could be your parents, it could be your husband, wife, whatever, because they'll be selfish about what you do for others. So with that in mind, I had to hear it. I heard it at an early age. And the message to me was, never be afraid to give too much. And that's how I run my life, because, it's all about people, and it's boring to me to only do what I can do. I want to do more in any situation. Otherwise, it's just, it's not fun for me. So that's how I view life. And, and I promote this idea to other people, with a deprivation mentality, which comes from, people who have been through the depression. There's good reasons why people have a deprivation mentality, but the deprivation mentality doesn't lead to abundance. The deprivation mentality leads to deprivation. If you feel like you don't have it, you don't have it. And Mother Teresa would say to people, it's not giving your abundance, it's giving what you have to sacrifice for. It's not like, okay, you're a very wealthy person and you gave away some clothes that you got a little tired of. Okay, is that like a great gift to humanity? But if you're a person who works for, I don't know, $10 an hour and you gave away $80 to some good cause, homeless person, somebody you want to help, that would be much more meaningful. So that was coming from Mother Teresa, who I admire. I admire many of the saints and holy people of all religions and groups. But yeah, this lifetime, my message was don't stick with one religion, be interfaith, which I have done. And I think I probably told Connie my Padre Pio story. I'm not sure. I didn't tell you.
No, go ahead, tell me. Tell me.
Okay. Well, my Padre Pio story is one way back, I don't know if it was 25 years ago. And I would go to Barnes and Noble because my kids were in Sunday school. And somehow it worked. I have 5 kids and a nephew. I had like 6 kids and I have 4 grandchildren now. So at the time I was, I had a meditation group. I had a meditation group for a long, long time. I also run an annual banquet called the Golden Heart Banquet for unsung heroes in the community, in which I give awards to a lot of people in various fields. And I get a lot of community support, a lot of politicians, give me awards for people. It's blossomed into, a very big event. But it was from seeing the divine in people. It's sort of like I'll see something and all of a sudden, like I see something divine in that person and I have to tell them, and then I wind up giving them an award. And it could be any walk of life. And it's meant a lot to get, for people to feel like they're getting, what's the word? Acknowledged, right. So this is background because way back, I had a meditation group and I have this banquet going on. And so I'm in, Barnes and Noble reading metaphysical books because of course I love to do that. I'm reading about astral travel, which I'm familiar with. So, and which I train people to do. And that's something we can try. But so every week this man shows up and I'm thinking, what does this person want? I knew it wasn't romantic. I wasn't looking for anyone. It clearly wasn't romantic. So I'm thinking, does he want to be a patient? Does he want to be in my meditation group? Is he trying to get into my banquet? Like, I'm trying to figure out what is the connection here.
This is a man in person, not
A man in person.
Okay.
A live person.
Okay.
I don't know the name, but he found me every week at Barnes and Noble and only talked about one topic, Padre Pio, who I didn't know anything about. And every week he would tell me all about the story and how he brought the healing robe around and people would get healed from Padre Pio's robe. And Padre Pio could go into trances and speak Sanskrit. He was omniscient. If people came to him for confession, because he was a Catholic priest, he would say, but you forgot to tell me this, that, and the other thing. Anyway, he had many abilities. And I think he passed around 1968. But in the meanwhile, this man every week told me this Padre Pio story. So I'm thinking, why am I getting this story? And every week he would show up. I didn't know his name. And then one day after I guess I got all the information, he disappeared. So I started, over the years, I would tell my Italian Catholic friends who really did know about Padre Pio and who were devotees of him. And I would tell them the story and I would share this information in my meditation group, etc. And they said to me, well, Padre Pio, it was probably Padre Pio and he wanted you to know. So that was the only explanation I had. And of course, I freely shared it. So it was quite significant and it just out of nowhere. It's sort of like everything came to me without me ever trying. I was never trying to get anything. It just came. And then over the years, I started to think, but what can I do with it? Can I help people with this? And one of the big things is helping people talk to their loved ones who passed. Because sometimes it's the only consolation you have. You can be completely devastated, but if you can talk to someone who you care about, who's passed, that means a lot. And over the years, a lot of people have come to me and they have said, people will come to me out of nowhere, or relatives I know, or people who come to my group, and they'll say, oh, guess what? I am psychic. And they'll tell me the story, and I'll never say I'll never degrade people, never say no. But I'll ask this one question: how are you going to help with it? And after I say that, they're often gone, because all they wanted was woohoo, the glory of it. And the truth is, it's not to be glorified. It's only who can you help with it? If you can't help anyone, you don't have anything.
Well, and I think, that's why we don't have millionaires being psychic, because this skill is meant for humanity only, not for wasteful extravagance.
Right, that's how I feel. I've shared it. I haven't really tried to make money out of it. I'm a full-time psychologist, but it's freely given pretty much. And that's how I see it. So when people want to show off to me, like, woohoo, I'm a psychic, they want me to pronounce them like you're a psychic. Well, when I ask that question, they're gone. And that's the test of, well, if you do have something, it's of no use to anyone. So why should anyone be impressed? I've had, in my meditation group, I've had people from government agencies show up. And I think, there were things they wanted to know and they were curious about, and I would always know who they were. And, I'm just going over it lightly, but I would know because my meditation group went on a long time. And then sometimes there would be people coming from a particular group and they're thinking like, what do you wear to a meditation group? What should you look like? So in the old days, it was more like wearing jeans or, and I have to laugh because one day this person came who was dressing for the group, but wearing jeans that were completely pressed, almost like military, sitting like this with military pressed jeans, coming to the group. So it was like the person sort of was noticed, but it's all okay because I knew what was going on. And I've been invited to go places to, do things, and it's like, nope, I don't want to be controlled. So I will not do anything where there's any ulterior motive. It's a nice way to put it. But we're all capable of getting anything. I know Connie teaches a million things, and there's a lot of ways to learn how to do things. But it's paying attention to what comes to you is a very big thing. So would you like to do a little meditation with me doing some healing now?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to try to put some music on. But since I got to get the no, I may not put it on the whole time. I have to get the no advertisement thing.
Are you going to guide us? Is it a guided meditation? Or?
Yeah, it's guided, and I'm going to walk around and do the healing thing around you.
Okay.
At which point I won't be talking as much. But this is the Shiva invocation.
And then the people on Zoom, you just want to walk up to the screen? and
I'll
you
walk up
wanna
to the
type-
screen.
Okay.
I will do it up on the screen as well.
Is there anyone who does not want her to do it?
If you don't want me to come near you, just let me know. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm not going to touch you, and it'll only be like a minute. Okay. And I'll just see what's medically going on. I will come to the Zoom camera and do it as well.
Everybody online okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's okay. Yes, yes. Hannah, yes? Okay, good. Oh, Mary Lou, yes?
Yep,
Okay, good.
Okay,
All right.
I'll do an overall Zoom thing. Okay. So, okay, I see this works. Okay, you can close your eyes. And think of a beautiful place of your choice. And walk up 10 steps to get to the wishing well. The first step, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th step. Walk over to the wishing well and pick up the note meant for you. And then sit down on the bench and read the note. After you read the note, sit down at the table with anyone from your past, present, with anyone that you want to talk to. And think of your questions and listen for the answers. as we continue, see yourself in the positive future with everything you want, with everything you've prayed for, with everything that you could possibly want, being successful, happy, physically well, and everything that you want in your life. See it in as much detail as you can. And before we end, I'm going to play a few minutes of a Norwegian song, which helps the transition to the other world. I'm playing it in honor of Tom Smith, who asked for something along those lines. So here it goes. I'll play a few minutes. It's very powerful. Sorry. Okay. Here it comes. The singer named Aurora, isn't it? And this is very powerful and very transcendent. While you're doing this, you can think about whatever you like. Sometimes retrieving something that you've lost. And if you could visit heaven or another realm, what would you like to do? Who would you like to see? What would you like to retrieve? What kind of abilities would you like to have more of? Remembering some words that can give you comfort throughout your week. Feeling stronger. Knowing that you can handle any obstacle coming your way. You are safe. You are protected. You can manifest whatever you need. and see yourself walking down the 10 steps back to a beautiful place. Down 10, 9, 8th step, 7th, 6th, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your gift and see your gift later throughout the week. And hear the words later throughout the week, whatever gives you comfort. You are powerful. You are strong. You can manifest anything in your mind. You can move around and open your eyes when you're ready. Hello in Zoom land.
Connie,
Yes,
was there music playing?
yes.
I didn't hear any music.
Oh, sorry about
I
that.
didn't either.
I'll have to put it near the Zoom, the
Oh,
computer.
that's-
Okay, I know we have till
12:30.
12:30. Okay, okay. I was underestimating.
Well, we were just gonna leave time if there were more people that you wanted to get their picture.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are
Well, I
there
think I
anything-
got everything, so that's good.
Okay,
So, let me let people ask some questions, and then I have one more thing we can do. We can go around. Does anyone want to share anything or ask any question? Yes.
Major Ed Ames, did you read about him? He was the one that originally started the remote viewing.
Oh, okay.
He used to be on Coast to Coast all the time. Very interesting gentleman.
Yeah, what was the name again?
Major Ed Ames.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
Very
Yeah,
interesting person.
very. So you know about the whole deal.
It's, he let out a lot of information that they didn't have before. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, they have some big stories in the group. It's a pretty amazing thing, you know. I'm not completely convinced it's over, but
No, you know, they're still doing it.
Yeah. it's a party line.
What is this now?
The remote viewing
Oh.
groups,
Viewing, yeah.
Mm,
which are very fascinating because, you know, if you think, I know I was trying to use it because a friend of mine is a widower. And he lost his wife about 5 years ago and lost a very important ring and he couldn't find it. And I decided, okay, let me do remote viewing, see if I can find the ring. And I pictured the location of what it looked like, where it was, the color of where it was. Except that we couldn't find the location. But apparently he adopted 2 cats and one of the cats found it and it was under a bed in a room that wasn't checked. And it was the color of, you know, what I had seen was basically where it was. I just couldn't identify where it was. But, you know, it's a useful thing to try to use. And sometimes people like to use it for history. So, you know, to see things of the past. If you really want to know about something, some past event, you can go there through remote viewing. You know, so it can be quite useful. I mean, it has obvious meaning too, as far as war and hostages and all that stuff. And you know, they've seen people who've been in prison before, who were held hostage. They saw one man. I think it had to do with. I think he was Italian and he was in a place and there was a lot of loud music and they had seen it. Anyway, a useful thing to know.
does everybody know what remote viewing is? Rita does not, okay, a couple people don't know what it
Okay,
is.
all right, I should have assumed that. Remote viewing is a way to use your psychic or perception or whatever to see something we can't normally see. Like if there's something you can't see, something in history you can't see, something in your past, something in war, you want to know where the supplies are, something like that. That would be a use for remote viewing. So it basically gives you information that you would have no access to otherwise. That's the whole thing with remote viewing.
And you kind of project your mind to a place, to the place where you think the information is. So it's a kind of mind projection that you're doing to get information.
And the idea when they train you in it is that they're accessing a part of your mind and you don't even realize, like, we don't realize that we have so much ability and information in us. But, if you're trained when they train you remote viewing, they're training you to just let things come out of you. Just write what you see, give your feelings, and they teach you to draw sky, they teach you to draw water, they teach you to draw mountains in very simple strokes and waves and things. And then if you do that, and you do it day after day, and they spend a long time doing it, then they start comparing everyone in the group and all the pictures and things and the feelings and, people getting a bad feeling about something, people getting a happy feeling. One of the ways they test it is they'll have 10 envelopes with pictures of random things. And they'll hold up one envelope, you won't know what's in it, and they'll say, now use remote viewing to say what the location is, what you think it is. That could be something happy, or it could be something very sad. It could be anything. And then you start trusting your mind, because your mind is also the same way remote viewing works, everything works. Your mind is, if we accessed everything that was available to us, we would have a lot of information.
Burnout.
So,
Burnout.
yeah, so you've obviously taught that, and it's like, that's why trusting the thoughts that come to you, random thoughts that come to you, are probably the most likely, are probably the most real, because you don't even know that your mind is actually giving you real information. So, would you all like to do the exercise about past life? Are you interested in past lives? Okay, so we can do a quick little meditation that would access past lives. I'm not going to put music on for this.
So should we have an intention or something, or,
You could have an intention. What I usually tell people, and I describe this one exercise, is that you are seeing faces, and we're just using faces as a prop. You look in water and you see faces, and they're your past. And you want to switch the components, you can. Basically, I'll guide you through it. The other thing is, if you want to try astral projection, I'll give you a few basic exercises. And the exercises for astral projection basically give you the feeling of movement without moving. A little like hypnosis. So it all works the same. And then I will do one exercise from the Greek prophet Daskalos, which he taught his group. And this Greek teacher, Daskalos actually means teacher in Greek. And I'll explain it to you first before we actually do it. But what he did, and it helps with giving you the feeling of movement when there's no movement. And he would say to his group, raise your right hand up, raise your right hand down, and he would have them do it 5 times. He'd have them do the left hand. Then he would say, without moving your right hand, raise your right hand up, and then bring it down. So it's the feeling of movement. And then there's one other exercise where you picture yourself where you are in this room. And I'm going to say, come up to here in your ethereal body, turn around and look at yourself. So, okay, let's say,
Does everyone know what astral
I'm gonna explain
projection is?
it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's say I'm Martha. Okay, okay, I'm Martha, I'm with
Right.
Martha, but you
Yeah.
won't have to move.
Everybody know what astral projection is?
I'm gonna, in my mind, I'm gonna go up
Yeah.
there, turn around and look at.
Of
Yeah.
course I do.
I'm just
I'm not
giving
helping
you
you.
an example, 'cause, you know, okay, Martha's, if you're coming from Martha's vicinity, okay, in your mind, you're gonna walk up here. You're gonna turn around, and now being Martha, I'm gonna look at Martha, me, Martha, and now you're here in the ethereal, your body is there. You're gonna look at your body and gain some insight about yourself. And that's the basic exercise.
We don't have,
So-
we don't have a whole lot of time to do it,
Okay,
so.
I'm following your time. What time do you want me to stop?
12:30, we
You
have to
got it.
pack up.
I won't go over. Okay, so. Okay, first, we were gonna do the reincarnation exercise.
Okay.
Okay, so close your eyes. And you're gonna see yourself at some body of water. You're going to look at the faces that you see. You may see one face, you might see two faces, you might see three faces. Okay, look at the faces, and they are you in the past. We don't know when, but they could be any year. Look at the faces. And try to learn what your mission is now. You had something going on in the past, and what is your mission now? And what is holding you back? So just look at that. Now, this is something you can come back to and continue on your own. And now we're going to do the Daedalus exercise. You can keep your eyes closed. And you're going to raise your right hand 5 times. You're going to bring it down, raise it again. It's going to be 5 times altogether. When you're done, raise your right hand from the ethereal sense. From your ethereal body, raise your right hand 5 times without raising your hand physically. So now you're going to do it without raising your hand physically, but you're going to feel like you're doing it. You're going to feel the movement without physically raising your hand. Do the same thing with your left hand. Move it up and down 5 times. Now, without raising your left hand, without moving physically, feel your hand raised up 5 times without physically doing it. Feel the movement. And the last exercise, staying in your seat and not physically moving, bring your ethereal self up to the front of the room, pivot, turn around. Now look back at your body wherever you are physically sitting. And as you look back at yourself, gain some insight into your life. Here are some of the words about yourself. Okay, when you're ready, you can come back. Okay. Connie, do you want to say anything or do you want me to use the next few minutes? What's good for you?
Well, does anybody have any questions? Anybody online have questions? Is everybody
Uh,
back in their body?
What was your phone number? What, can I didn't get the phone number.
Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
215
215,
284
okay.
3646.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Feel free to text.
So Jana, I have a question. So
Yes.
you're a psychologist, right? So did that prevent a lot of people coming to see you? Like, we used to go see a colleague of mine. I was a school psychologist in my last role. So we used to not tell anybody if we were seeing a psychic and we get messages for the school year and all. And we wouldn't tell anybody because, you know, it would be frowned upon.
Well,
So-
I was very on the down low with this for most of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I was careful. You have to find me. I wouldn't advertise. I never advertise anything. People have advertised me, but I don't personally advertise. You had to find me. And even on jobs I had, you know, I was director of behavioral health with a nursing home chain. And there was a director of nursing who lost her 24-year-old son. And I went to the funeral, and I'm at the funeral many, many years ago. And the 24-year-old son in the casket is telling me, talk to my mom, talk to my mom. So I said to this woman who didn't know anything other than I was, you know, director of behavioral health there. And I said to her, you know, if you want to communicate with your son, I think I could probably help you. I was trying to say it as vaguely as possible, you know, because I'm like, I don't want things out, whatever. Well, for a couple of years, she got messages from me. And in the first 2 years after his passing, she got messages from me almost weekly. And it was the only thing keeping her going because it was so devastating. I mean, we were all devastated to see this poor woman losing her 24-year-old son, who shouldn't have passed. I won't say more details, but it was the only thing that helped her. And I was very happy to be helping her. And, you know, the word was getting out, but I couldn't prevent it because I just wanted to help her. And it was like, okay, I didn't publicly say anything. And one of the regional directors said to me sometime, oh, you're psychic, aren't you? I said, oh, I don't know. And I just wouldn't confirm it. And back then, I don't think I should have been as concerned back then, but I was.
Yeah.
And I think I really could have said to that man, like, yeah, I guess so, you know, and because it wasn't really interfering with my work, but I
But
was
you never
overly
know.
careful.
Yeah.
So yes,
yeah.
I've been extremely careful.
Yeah.
But a lot of people found out and started coming to me, and they were coming to me from work, and you know, it was, I always had like a role. People would just always come to me for clergy kind of things. Because that was my past, which I don't really talk about, but when 911 happened, I was at a nursing home, and the staff all came to me and said, Dr. Malice, do something. What are we gonna do? There's, and so I had to get everybody in a room and prayed with them and the whole bit. And, I used to do memorial services. Most of the residents were Baptist at the time. I did Baptist memorial services at bedside and till they got a chaplain. So, but yeah, things just came out as they came out. Like people in my meditation group all knew, and they got messages from me all the time. And they had so many messages, they would be typing them out, and they would have books, and they would type out all the messages, put it in a book, and that kind of thing. So, and there was one I would be so familiar with whoever they wanted me to get. Like this one woman, can you get my mother? I would get her mother every week. And then her mother would let other of her relatives come in.
Oh, the spiritual bullet that takes up the whole.
And she said, well, can you get my, I don't know, grandfather or something? I said, I can't, because your mother can't, your mother's not letting him come in. Your mother's wants to talk so badly.
There's a way to deal with that. I teach that in my classes.
I don't
Yeah.
think she
Well,
found,
I found out what to do, but all kinds of things like that happen. So as I said, my father, who was a psychologist, said to me, don't tell anybody, just act like you got it through psychology.
yeah, yeah.
So
And that's
I'm
what we
very
did.
familiar. Yes, I'm very familiar with, how to keep it secret, and when now it doesn't even matter.
Right.
You can come out with this stuff, but yeah, I guess we are officially done.
All right.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
Great.
thank you all for participating. I
All
love
right,
being
thank you,
here.
Jana, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great group.
Thank you, thank
And you're
you.
amazing yourself in everything you do.
Well, thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
I have to stop recording. Thank you, everybody, for logging on.
Thank you.
I gotta find where is stop recording.